Howdy there. So, this is the champion. So, you're in a giant pit with this crazy ass monster that wants to kill you. Sounds like a good time to me. So, the biggest thing, you notice how there's a rage bar at below the health pool of the champion. So, think of it like a rage bar for a warrior from WoW or, Diablo or something like that, where you build up your rage by hitting the enemy, and then once you attain a certain level of rage, you can use certain abilities. So, for the champion, once he reaches the full bar of the rage, he gets that by hitting you or meleeing or whatever. He basically goes into a fiery stance, so his weapons get an empowered fire attack. So it does make it, you don't really want to block it because it does fire damage. And number two, it does do significantly more damage if you do get hit. So it's never very fun to get into that stance. Usually I do back away, or at least I'm a lot more scared. I just play a lot more scared whenever he goes into that stance. But other than that, there's a couple more things to worry about. He melees twice, so it's a 1-2. He does sometimes, when you're in range, do a third melee attack, which can screw me up. I think it screws me up a couple times. This probably isn't the cleanest video to show how to fight the champion. It was actually really brutal. I used all 7 of my pots, and I barely survived. I think I got my last hit on him at the very end. So, but it's giving a general idea. I think this is actually my second try. In the first time, I think my controller died or something. So I don't know what happened, but he does do a charging attack. That is partially why you don't really want to be too close to him. It's because if he does his charging attack and you're too close, i.e., you will get hit. So you don't really want that to happen. He does an okay amount of damage by hitting you. I do have heavy armor on, so it does do significantly less damage to me than, say, to a rogue or, like a spellcaster. So, other than that, though, so he's going into a powered stance right there. You can tell his weapons are going all fiery. He's doing his ranged attack as well, so he sends out energy pulses in the ground. Doesn't really seem like... I don't know, this doesn't seem like a very Berserker-esque type of move, to tell you the truth. In the final stage, he does send out these burning blades, essentially, from his weapons. That makes more sense. That's kind of more in tune with what kind of theme the boss has. But, yeah, it's just... The one thing that I really liked about the Worshipper and why I was so ecstatic about it is because the boss mechanics made sense. The boss mechanics worked well together. They all built into each other, into making the boss fight more than just what the individual parts of it were. Because of the fact that you have to worry about certain things, you need to worry about priorities. Now, for, say, the champion, for the infiltrator, I don't feel that way. I don't feel as much that way. Like, sure, there are certain things that you should do during certain phases, but I feel like they're just some throwaway abilities that are like, oh, how does this work with the rest of his toolkit to actually make sense? And it just doesn't feel like as well fleshed out as it could be. Now, again, this is a minor gripe. A lot of these bosses are way better than a lot of the bosses that I've played in RPGs and a lot of games out there. They're definitely still well thought out. They do have somewhat of a theme, but I just feel like they aren't quite on the same level that they could be. They have the potential, and that's what I'm getting a little bit annoyed at, is that they have the potential to be great, to be absolutely great. That they're really good quality, but there's just an extra step that you have to go to make it into an amazing boss fight. But the reason I'm not really explaining the fight is because it's pretty much rinse and repeat. He does do his 1-2 punch. Usually I keep at range. I kind of want to stick away from him. I don't really want to get melee'd while he has the empowered blades. So other than that, you usually want to dodge that. I swear I'm pressing the button, but it's not exactly cooperating. He does do a grab attack as well. It's when he raises his R right. It's his left hand, but he raises his left hand and he brings it down, and if he grabs you, I think he smacks you on the ground and throws you away, and it does about half your health pretty easily. So it's quite brutal. You don't really want to be too close to him in a lot of situations. You want to keep him at range. If he does do the 1-2 attack, usually you can get an opportunity. Using the taunt, the decoy, is really required in this fight, essentially, because of the fact that he doesn't have any cleave, just like the infiltrator, and you're able to kind of take advantage of that. You're able to get behind him, The only thing that you have to worry about when behind him is the fact that he does do a ground pound move, and even if you avoid the first ground pound move, he does do a second knockback with his arms, and that can hit you sometimes. So it is something to watch out for. But again, see right here, he throws his arms out and he hits back behind him, so he will hit you if you're not paying attention. But other than that, I keep saying this, but the boss wasn't that difficult. If you're beating a boss maybe second, third try, it's not a tough boss. The mechanics are usually pretty easy to understand. And for me, coming from a Dark Souls perspective where you would literally be stuck on a boss, you would literally be stuck on a boss for days. Like you would be, I think who was it, Manus? Yeah, Manus, I had to grind for 3 or 4 hours, and when you beat him, it felt amazing because you worked so hard. You had to figure it out. You had to understand there were certain nuances to his moves, whereas I feel like I'm brute forcing the game a bit. I feel like now that I have 7 or 8 health pots, I'm just chugging. I have heavy armor. I'm taking all the damage. It's not even that big of a deal anymore, and I can kind of cheese the fight. Really, it's pretty easy to do. And I know in the Warden video I was kind of talking about how you shouldn't do that, but if the game makes it so easy and it doesn't give you the proper cues or clues to figure it out, then what else are you going to do? You're going to do the most efficient way that you know. And whether or not, what else are you going to do, really? I don't know. There's the ground pound move. Go back in. Oh, it actually hits in front of him as well, so that's no good. I am getting pretty close here. I can't believe I did so badly in this boss fight. This is definitely not the best video or the best gameplay to show this about, but it's okay. So all you do, right, for the attack move on the ground, I got into a tangent when I was explaining that, but you have to roll. You can't just sidestep. You do have to roll the attack. It does give you it is pretty lenient on when you have to roll. You can do it a little bit before, but I feel like you should have to time that properly, but I know I didn't do it a couple times properly, but I got away with it. So right here, enrage, blah blah blah. Final stage. Has he done his burning blades yet? I don't believe he's done his burning blades. There they are. Okay, he has done his burning blades. I'm crazy. That comes in more in tune with what the boss is. Like, he's this giant raging berserker. That makes sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me. So I'm actually down to my last health pod here. One thing that I'm a little bit... I feel like I'm a little bit... what's the word? I'm a little bit spoiled with the healing from my decoy, because of the fact that I'm always basically summoning my decoy just for the heal and not for the decoy itself. Now, it has a dual purpose, I understand that, but I've had times where combat's done and I'm like, oh, okay, my health's low, I'm just gonna summon my decoy, and then I get to stand here for 5 to 10 seconds. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what else am I gonna do, really? And because it's a game where, actually, I guess I could always run back to the checkpoint, because actually using checkpoints in this game does not actually reset the mobs. Only when you die are the mobs reset, which is actually really interesting. Only the combo chain is reset. So he's 2 shots from death. I'm basically just going ham. I shouldn't have done this, but I did it anyway. So that's the boss. You get the general gist of what the boss is about. Obviously could have gone cleaner. I took way too much damage. I got hit way too many times by the charging attack. But that's his abilities. That's the general gist of the boss fight. So thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.